Good morning. My name is James Bodisch. I'm the Training Division Manager at Emergency Communications. I've been with the agency for 4 years as of yesterday, actually. I started out as a 911 call taker and a law enforcement dispatcher, and over the course of 4 years have worked my way up into the Training Division Manager position. I'm going to try to run through this as quick as I can. Kind of a quick overview of the 911 system and how it works within Williamson County. So I think John mentioned earlier the term PSAP, or Public Safety Answering Point. So that is kind of within the industry, the terminology that we use to refer to ourselves. Not all PSAPs are created equal. Some other terminology we might use is like a 911 comm center or a communications center, but within the industry we typically refer to it as a PSAP. We are responsible for fielding 911 calls and dispatching out to the field units. With Williamson County, we do dispatch for all three service types: fire, law enforcement, and EMS. I believe John also mentioned CAPCOG, or the Capital Area Council of Governments. In this region, they have some regional control over how many 911 lines you have based on your call volume and your population. They also partner with us a lot with training. They're really great, actually. They usually cover the cost for training if it's offered through CAPCOG. And we also have interoperability through CAD, which is computer-aided dispatch, and radio with the other PSAPs within the county. So other PSAPs that we have here in the county include Round Rock, Cedar Park, Taylor, Georgetown. Again, they have their own police, their own fire, their own EMS, and their own PSAP. So they're pretty much a one-stop shop, but they're the only municipality in the county that is like that. The other cities mentioned up here, they have a 911 center or PSAP, and they do their own dispatching for police or police and fire. For the departments, the cities, Round Rock, Cedar Park, where they do police and fire, pretty much any time EMS is going to go to a call, we're also going to send fire. That's where that CAD interoperability comes into play, where we can take a call in our comm center right down the street. We'll send EMS, and then we can transfer that call directly through CAD. It will pop up on the computer screens in Round Rock or Cedar Park, and they'll see, oh, county's sending EMS out, we need to get our fire guys on the way too. And that last step of interoperability, we pick up the phone and we call them and say, hey, do you see that call I just dropped in Cedar Park for a heart attack or whatever the medical call may be. Compared to this slide, and then what county does. So I'm in the training division. It is a challenge for our people. We have a very complex environment. Not only do we dispatch for all these agencies, but we have to know their jurisdictions and recognize their jurisdictions. So again, compared to like the city of Taylor, you get a police call on Taylor. Is it in Taylor? All right, we're sending Taylor PD. But our folks have to know, are we sending the sheriff's office to the Sunterra neighborhood in Gerald, or are we sending Gerald PD to the west side of I-35, where that area is covered by Gerald PD as opposed to Williamson County Sheriff's Office? So it's kind of jumping into the deep end of the pool when people come to work for us, because there are easier, less complicated PSAPs to work at, and they're comparably paid. So the people that work for us at county are really superstars that take on a higher degree of challenge than what a lot of people in this industry may necessarily have to deal with. So who can call 911? Obviously, if you have an emergency, you can, and we want you to call 911. But the purpose of this slide is to mention some of our other accessibility options and features. We have to, under the Americans with Disability Act, provide direct and equal access to 911 for people with disabilities. In the past, there was a lot of technology that helped that happen, such as the telecommunications device for the deaf, or a text telephone. There were also relay services where people who were mute and needed to sign would essentially get on like a video call with an interpreter, and then they would connect to the PSAP. But in all reality, these days, text to 911 has kind of antiquated a lot of that. In Williamson County, you can text to 911. That is considered a next-gen 911 technology. It does not work everywhere in the state or the country, but in Williamson County, you can text. It's just put 911 in the phone number line, send the text message, and we'll get it. We prefer that you call. It's obviously faster, more efficient communication if you call, but you can text. We also have translation services. That's not in-house translators. It's a third party that, again, we connect to. So they go far beyond Spanish. Really, any language we encounter, we can connect with, it's called Voyance, and they will help us field that call. Lastly, something I want to also point out, if you have an old disconnected cell phone, maybe your iPhone 10, 11, 12, whatever, hanging out in a drawer, if it's got battery, you can turn it on. Even if it's not connected to a cell provider, you can still call 911 from a disconnected cell phone. Obviously, if you're in an emergency, we want you to call 911. Chest pain, someone in a fight, seeing smoke coming out of a building, all great examples of when you would call 911. But leading into that, also want to talk a little bit about when not to call 911. So for things that are not emergencies, not in progress, if you walk out and see your car was broke into overnight and the suspect is long gone, that would be an example of when you could call our non-emergency number rather than 911. The thing about the non-emergency number, it's going to be answered by the same 911 call takers and dispatchers at the same location, but that number does not get the same priority, if you will, as a 911 line. So obviously we want to respect people that are having active and real emergencies and utilize our non-emergency number, which is that number you see in red text up there. We do not have like a 311 service like Austin does. And actually I hear Austin is also moving away from 311 as well and will revert to a 10-digit non-emergency number. Again, examples, anytime you're reporting something that happened in the past, or maybe you've already filed a report for a crime and you need to talk to the investigator or the officer that handled your report, give us a call on that number and we'll get you connected with them because again, it's the same dispatchers handling this call. Mr. Lugo mentioned controlled burns. That's another good example to call our non-emergency number to let us know you're going to be doing a controlled burn. So a few things to understand about 911. There's a lot of myths or misnomers out there about 911. What you see on TV doesn't always translate to reality. But one big thing that we're going to really require every caller to do is verify their location. In the past, when the majority of 911 calls came in over a landline, we got very accurate information as to what the phone number was and where you were calling from. In today's environment, the vast majority of phone calls come in from a cell phone. And a cell phone operates very differently. It hits cell towers. Cell towers triangulate the position. But there are a number of factors that can affect the accuracy of that, be they geographic, buildings, and really just how many cell phone towers your phone is hitting at a particular point in time. If we have three towers talking to your phone, it will triangulate. We'll get a pretty accurate location. But sometimes we only have phones hit 1 or 2 towers, and it will pop up on our screen showing us, the person that you're talking to is either in this circle or in this circle. So a lot of people will call 911 with the assumption of, where I'm at. I don't want to answer where I'm at, where I'm at, and that's not necessarily always the case. So Williamson County uses protocols to process calls. These protocols are established by the International Academy of Emergency Dispatch. It is an organization that has been around for about 50 years, and their protocols are used globally. One of the nice things about protocols is generally in 911, the first job you learn is call taking. You have to learn to take the call before you can then learn to dispatch it out to the field units. So that means that our newest people are the people that take the highest volume of 911 calls. The nice thing about protocols is that it gets them up to the same level of performance and service as somebody who's been doing it for years. Because they're going to ask the same questions. The questions are, the protocols are designed by panels of experts. It's not dispatchers teaching dispatchers. It's people who have spent, typically decades in the EMS field or law enforcement field, basically telling the dispatch field, this is what we want you to ask. This is the type of information that we need. And they're going to ask a lot of questions. So my best advice is if you call 911, let the call taker drive the call and answer all their questions because typically the call taker is working in tandem with the dispatcher. So one thing we hear a lot on the phone, why are you asking so many questions? Just send help. Well, it's a different person in the room that is actually sending the help. They see the same call on their screen and they're talking to the medics or they're talking to the sheriff department to get that help on the way. It's the job of the call taker to collect the information for the responders that are coming to help so they know what they're walking into. Our medics know, are they going to need that blood? The law enforcement officers know, is there a weapon involved? Are they walking into a dangerous situation? So just be patient, let the call taker drive. They will get the necessary information and it will not slow down any response. One other thing that I do want to mention, I believe the lady from Cedar Park back there mentioned getting transferred around sometimes. So with the we talked a little bit about the cell towers and the location. Another issue that you might encounter is that you get connected to the wrong PSAP. And again, cell phones play a role in that because sometimes that tower that you hit crosses a jurisdictional boundary. And so it will direct you based on where it sees you're at, where it sees you are at, which tower you're talking to. Okay, I'm driving on 620, my phone routed to Williamson County, and they transferred me to APD. So those things do happen as well. Another thing to keep in mind about getting transferred is if you do call from a cell phone to report a crime that is not where you are calling from, we may have to transfer you to the PSAP that is in charge of the jurisdiction where the crime actually occurred, because that's where your call needs to be reported to law enforcement, not necessarily where you're at, but where the crime occurred. So just another factor to be aware of. Which I jumped ahead of the slide here on that. Again, if you accidentally call 911, don't hang up. We're going to ask a couple of questions. We're going to log a little bit of information. But I can tell you, especially within Williamson County, if we get a 911 hang up or a 911 silent call, we are going to drop a call and we are going to send somebody out to check and make sure that the scene is secure. Even if you do answer our questions, there may still be somebody that drives by just to make sure nobody is holding a gun to your head, making you say, no, everything's fine here, which consequently is another great reason to use text to 911. If you're ever in a situation where you feel like you're in danger or you don't want somebody around you to necessarily know you're contacting 911, text to 911 is a silent way to do that. And of course, a little PSA, please teach your children about 911, make sure they know the importance of knowing their location and how to contact us. I know I ran through that pretty quick, but I'll hand this off to the next speaker before I do. Any quick questions about 911?
So just real quick, you mentioned a lot about protocols and letting the person drive the call. If you are texting, like what's the format? Like what do you want that first text to include? Address and type of emergency? Or?
That would be perfect. If you can give us, hey, I'm here, this is happening. An example that I took for a text to 911 was a family abduction. And it was a young lady who was being driven down I-35. Her family was taking her to Mexico, and she was texting me. It was coming up on my CAD, and we were, I was getting up, what exit are you passing, and relaying that information to the different agencies as they jump through jurisdictions on 35.
Are you able to drop a pin, location pin through text?
I don't believe so. I know we can't receive photographs or video yet, but that's kind of on the radar for other stuff that we're going to bring in.
This is all great information, thank you very much. I've been taking pictures, but is this on your website somewhere, or on the Wilco website? Because I would love to enter newsletter for our residents.
We will take his presentation and we'll put it on the Citizens Academy page, and so you'll be able to access it that way.
But do you have like a pamphlet or things, best practices on the website?
I don't believe we do currently, but we are actively looking at our website and updating some information on that. So I'll take that back into conversations we're having about that.
Great suggestion.
Are there any consequences for abusing 911 systems?
Yes, there's actually a crime and a charge for abuse of 911, and we have had to occasionally utilize that. But
Abuse, I mean, that's almost their medical, if they don't have insurance or something like that, they just call that all the time for help.
yeah, I usually when I see something like that happen, it's somebody that does not want to talk to somebody else. Like we'll transfer them to APD, and they don't want to talk to APD, and they just keep calling us back over and over and over.
I wonder how you,
Yes, John.
That's going to add, if you have someone who's calling 911 repeatedly for medical care, we do have our community health care medics to get a referral.
I got you.
And so community health will make contact with the individual and try to plug in the resources so they don't use 911.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be more of a high volume caller. We wouldn't necessarily consider that an abuse.
All right.
All right.
Very good.
Thank y'all.